The hidden truth behind Jungkook's choice. This deepest reason shocks everyone. What could drive one of the world's most influential artists, admired by millions and scrutinized by the global spotlight, to make a decision so personal, yet so revealing that it sends shockwaves through the fandom? Jungkook, often celebrated as the golden magne of BTS, has always been seen as someone who balances professionalism with authenticity. But when he made the choice that placed one person above all others, questions immediately arose. Why did he do it? What lies beneath this decision? And could the reason be far more profound than anyone dared to imagine? The shock was not just in the act itself, but in the way it contradicted expectations. Fans who had watched Jungkook grow from a teenager into a global superstar believed they understood his character, his relationships, and his priorities. Yet the revelation of his hidden preference, choosing a single figure to stand closest to him, has created a storm of speculation. Some say it is loyalty, others claim it is necessity. But the truth, as fragments continue to surface, points to a deeper emotional foundation that challenges even the strongest assumptions. Observers have noticed subtle hints leading up to this moment. Jungkook's selective presence, his repeated gestures, and the deliberate silence that surrounded his decisions were not random. They were pieces of a puzzle that, once assembled, tells a story not of favoritism, but of trust, survival, and the need for a safe anchor amid 13 years of relentless pressure. Could this choice, then, be less about exclusion and more about protection? Fans across platforms began dissecting his every move. Why did he lean closer only to one? Why was his gaze steadier, his body language less guarded, his emotions more transparent when that specific figure was beside him? These were not coincidences, nor were they rehearsed performances for the camera. They reflected something unspoken, an inner reasoning that Jungkook never verbalized directly, but carried in every action. The question is, what does this say about his reality behind the curtain? Reports surrounding his personal dynamics within the group have long suggested underlying tensions. Years of being under management's control, public expectation, and private battles inevitably shaped his worldview. In such an environment, finding even one person to rely on becomes not a luxury, but a necessity. Choosing this single individual might have been less about favoritism and more about survival in an industry that often strips idols of their autonomy. The emotional weight of this choice reveals not a shallow preference, but a carefully guarded secret that is now only beginning to surface. What startles the public most is not merely the act of choosing, but the fact that Jungkook allowed this choice to be visible. It could have been hidden, it could have been denied, yet he made no attempt to disguise it. Instead, he allowed his reliance on one figure, Taehyung, to be seen. Was this an act of rebellion, or was it a plea for recognition of his true state of mind? Why let the world witness something so intimate unless he wanted to send a message? The speculation grows heavier when considering the emotional undertones. Those who have followed BTS closely know how Jungkook's behavior changes when under emotional strain. His body stiffens, his words become minimal, his eyes avoid contact, except in the presence of one. That exception has consistently been Taehyung. The question remains, why Taehyung and why now? Why reveal the depth of this connection when silence would have been safer? This choice cannot be dismissed as random. To understand it, one must look at the broader context of Jungkook's life. He has lived in the shadow of immense expectations since he was a teenager. Every performance, every word, every gesture has been measured, analyzed, and debated. Under such circumstances, finding a genuine anchor is rare. If Jungkook's choice reflects years of accumulated trust, it suggests that what we are witnessing is not favoritism, but the revelation of the only consistent foundation he has held onto. The shockwaves this revelation sent through the fandom are understandable. Armies who have long celebrated the group's unity are now confronted with the reality of deeper, more complex dynamics. Yet rather than seeing this as division, it should perhaps be understood as evidence of human need. Jungkook, despite his image as the flawless golden magne, is not invulnerable. His choice exposes vulnerability, dependency, and the raw truth that even global icons cannot navigate everything alone. The hidden truth, therefore, lies not in favoritism but in emotional necessity. What Jungkook revealed was not a betrayal of others, but the depth of his reliance on one. The intensity of this revelation explains why fans reacted so strongly. It challenges the image they thought they knew. It forces them to confront the reality that behind the cameras, Jungkook's emotional world is far more fragile and selective than they realized. As discussions intensify, one question dominates: how long has this truth been hidden? Observers are now tracing back years of footage, interviews, and interactions, attempting to identify when the pattern began. The more they analyze, the clearer it becomes that this is not new. It has been present all along, carefully concealed beneath the surface, waiting for the moment when Jungkook himself would allow it to be visible. The reason, shocking as it may seem, is rooted in survival. In an industry that demands perfection, he has clung to what gives him balance. This hidden truth, the deepest reason behind his choice, is not one of favoritism or convenience. It is one of protection, grounding, and survival. And for those who wonder why it had to be taehyung, the answer may be simpler yet heavier. Trust forged under fire cannot be replaced. AS Army continues to debate and analyze. The lingering tension grows. What will this mean for future dynamics? Will Jungkook's choice spark friction or solidarity? And most importantly, does this revelation suggest more hidden truths yet to come? The world is left with questions, but one fact remains undeniable. The decision was deliberate, the reason profound, and the impact unforgettable. In the end, Jungkook's hidden truth is not just about who he chose, but why he revealed it now. Perhaps it is a sign of exhaustion. Perhaps it is a plea for understanding. Or perhaps it is the beginning of a larger reckoning with the pressures that idols carry in silence. Whatever the case, the world now knows that Jungkook's choices are not arbitrary. They are rooted in survival, trust, and the deepest need for something real in a life that rarely allows authenticity. And that, more than anything else, is what makes this revelation so shocking.